All right, great. Well, first off, like to thank you for doing this interview with the Hype Magazine tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And to get started, can you tell the fans and listeners who you are and where you're from?
My name is Shenelle May Smith. I am a makeup artist from New York City and I live in Atlanta, Georgia now.
Dope. Now, being a makeup artist from New York City, do you think it made it harder for you or easier for you to get into the industry?
I definitely think it made it easier for me to get
Okay.
into the industry. I definitely think I had access to a lot of things and just a lot of access to the industry more so than others
Okay.
living in part of the city.
Now, what made you want to be a makeup designer in the first place? What caught your eye and made you want to get started?
I went to college for
Okay.
theater, and within the theater department, I found makeup, and it was a really exciting thing for me because it was something that my professors saw in me
Okay.
versus something that I saw in myself in the beginning. And I just think that that's something very interesting about my story,
Yeah.
just with my education and my teachers really believing in me and seeing something in me that I didn't necessarily see in myself.
So you're in school and they're doing it and they see you have a talent for you. How did you know that you were gonna be able to take it from your talent to becoming this professional that you are today? And we're gonna highlight some of the dope stuff you've done. But how did you know you would be successful at it?
Um, well, one of the things, like for instance, my professor, I was auditioning for graduate school and she looked at me and she brought me outside and she was like, Chanel, I don't think you're into this. Like, what are you gonna do? And I was like, I'm not sure. And she was like, I think you should really go back to New York and do makeup. And for me, once I fixate my mind on something,
Hmm.
it's a go from there. Like
Yeah.
I pretty much know that that's what I want to do, and I am full speed ahead. So, with that kind of passion, it just kind of propelled me into the right
Yeah.
areas.
Now, it's always dope when someone you're learning from or you look up to is saying, "Hey, I think you should do this." Like they kind of gave you an insight on that. How did you get started then? So you're in school, and then they tell you, "Well, we think you should pursue this." Did they have an opportunity for you, or did you have to knock on doors? How did you get your first chance?
So for me, my first chance definitely came from mentorship.
Dope.
Um, and I think it's also about having a little bit of a hustle in you, right? So I go back to New York and I'm like, okay, in order for me to work in this industry, I need to, one, get myself out there. Two, I need to have my days available because if someone calls me and asks me if I can, show up on a drop of a time, I have to be ready and available. So
Yeah.
instantly, I had to come up with a game plan. So going back to New York, I decided I was going to become a full-time bartender. So I
Okay.
went to bartend, and I decided to bartend in the strip club, which I
Hey.
thought would be a great angle for me as well because those ladies need makeup. So
Yep.
um, I found myself bartending in the evenings and doing makeup at the strip club during the evenings, and then during the day, I would internship. So I would internship for the
Oh, dope.
Source magazine. I
Yeah.
would intern at with their fashion. I guess what would she be? I guess she would be like they one of their fashion stylists that they had on staff at the time. So I would intern with her, and I would meet people and tell them that I did makeup. And eventually, I met a mentor who
Yeah.
I love and adore, who I consider a sister and a family member of mine. And she just basically took me under her wing, and she's been a makeup artist for 30 years, and
Okay.
I've been a makeup artist now for 20 years. So in the beginning of that journey, she took me under her wing and taught me a lot about the business and, trained me
Yeah.
and introduced me to her celebrity clients. And when she wasn't available, then I was the go to person for those clients and until I began to gain my own.
That's dope. Now, do you want to say who that is and what was
Yeah,
one thing you
absolutely.
learned from her besides the connections and the opportunity? Was there one piece of game she gave you that helped you with your career?
So my mentor, my big sister is Hashinta Sharif. I love and care for her dearly. She has been a major support to my career and just my life in general. And one thing that I have learned from her, one is always to be kind
Yeah.
and lead with integrity, and also just to be very business minded. I think Ashanta's main goal with me growing up and learning in the industry was to always be business minded, and how could I always think about how I could advance and push my business forward. So,
That's dope. Yeah, a lot of people think when you get into this entertainment industry, it's a whole bunch of, fly by night and, just kind of do it as you go. But there's a lot of structure involved. There's a lot of business involved. So I'm glad she was able to show you that. And then you mentioned when you were in the strip clubs like that, how did you handle the different styles that girls wanted? They're in the strip club trying to make their money and you're the makeup artist. So how do you deal with the different aspects or the different styles they liked?
I think one of the things that you have to learn as a makeup artist is you can't be a one trick pony. You have
Yeah.
to, it's makeup isn't by design, it's not paint by number, it's not a coloring book per se, you
Yeah.
know? So I think that you have to be able to read the room and read your client and figure out what it is that they want and need, and figure out if you can execute that. And again, be honest.
Yeah.
There's certain makeup styles, even for me in general now, that I'm just not your girl for. And I'm okay with that because I have established a signature look within my artistry. And that's
Yeah.
something that I stand on. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. It's just not being a one trick pony, being able to reach your client and give your client what they need, and also being able to be honest and say, I'm not the makeup artist for
Yeah.
you.
So with you being in New York, I know that in New York strip clubs, there's a lot of celebrities. Even the dancers become bigger than life sometimes. Was that your first time you interacted with celebrities, and did that make it easier for you when the opportunities presented yourself later, not to get starstruck or intimidated by some of the bigger names and stuff you've been working with?
I mean, I'm from Harlem.
Okay, yeah,
We
yeah,
always interact with celebrities. We are celebrities. So I don't I don't know. Like I can't say that that was my first time
okay,
interacting with anybody high profile. I have a light around me. I'm
yeah,
attracted to people. People are attracted to me. I meet people
dope,
everywhere. It's kind of been that way all my life. So I definitely don't think it was my first time. I do think that, being around, being in certain environments more often than not help you to be more polished in other environments in the future.
yeah.
But yeah.
Now, you said you've been doing this for 20 years. You have a signature look. You have a signature makeup style that people come to you for. What is that style, and how did you get to define it the way you have?
I think my style is very classic beauty. I'm a beauty makeup artist. I like skin. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
I like for the makeup to be pretty natural. I don't like it to look heavy or caked on. Um, I've come to that, and my makeup style hasn't always been that way. I think
Okay.
that's something that you learn over the years, right?
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect. They say you have to work at something for a number of years,
Yeah.
and do things a number of times to get better at them. And I've done it. I've done it a few times, so I've had my fair share of, whoa, what was that?
Yeah.
Um, and I've learned what works for me, and my just my hands
Yeah.
and my gift. I've just pretty much figured it out, and it just comes to me.
Now, a lot of people think about being a makeup artist, and they don't understand the amount of work that comes into it and what a day looks like. So, on an average day, when you're doing a movie or something of that sort, what's the average time it takes for you to create the makeup for that person to get in the role or do their play and stuff like that? Like, how long does a session usually take for you?
The makeup session may take for a beauty, if it's a beauty, because sometimes, I mean, with film and TV makeup, it has to be very character driven.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're a bus driver, your makeup wouldn't. look as if you were a ballerina, right?
Right.
So maybe the bus driver may take 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But you have your ballerina, maybe she may take 45, maybe she may take an hour. And then we have a full day, a full shooting day, right?
Yeah.
So with a full shooting day, we shoot for about 5 or 6 hours before we break for lunch, and makeup has to stay set and ready to go.
Yep.
Um, then you break for about 30, 45 minutes, and then you do after lunch touches.
Yeah, because they're eating lunch and getting you
Right,
messing around. Yeah.
right. And you do after lunch touches. And if they're in the scenes throughout the evening, you make sure you pack your bag when you go to set, and you have everything that you need to make sure that the makeup stays in place, and your client has everything that they need while they're on set. You're pretty much responsible for them in that beauty world, and that encompasses so much more than makeup.
Yep.
Especially with women, it may be. I mean, with any client, it may be. We may carry tooth supplies, nail supplies, feminine hygiene products, beard wash,
Yeah.
just random amount of things. But our days last anywhere from 10 to 15, 16 hours.
Wow. Wow.
Um, and then you wait until your actor is finished, and you take their makeup off, and you make sure their skin looks good, and
Yeah.
they're ready to come back and do it again the next day. So it's a really long day.
Yeah.
Um, the makeup process, again, you do it once, and you pretty much chase it throughout the day unless you are switching scenes or having to go back for continuity
Yeah.
purposes. So,
Yeah, that's interesting because, like I said, everybody wants to be in this game, but you just said 15 hours. And then you're not talking about the fact that once you get it done, let's say they have a scene and they get all hot, sweaty, and all that stuff. Now you got to cut, you got to run back and get the touches back up and then
oh
do the.
yeah. So, I mean,
How do you deal with how did you deal with that at first when you have to constantly keep doing it over and over again because either like I said they're in a scene and they get hot and they get sweaty, like how did you learn to deal with dealing with those constant changes you have to do?
um, to your point, not only hot, sweaty, there's also been murder scenes and
Yeah,
blood shootouts
every
and all the things. So yeah, I can take care of a little sweat, but what happens when there is blood over the fresh glam that you
yeah
just did 25 minutes ago, and they want it off in 5 minutes, and they want them back on set in 10.
yeah
Um, you just learn to just be on top of your craft. You have to pay attention, you have to think ahead, you have to always be prepared, you have to know what you're going to need for the day. I probably would have to, more than likely, depending on what set I'm working on, may have to do those changes on set, off
yeah
off to the side, not even going back to a hair and makeup room. So I'd have to just be prepared with everything I need, and just really, really foreshadow
yeah
um, just what may happen.
what may happen. Yeah, so do you get a script, do you get like any preview, do they tell you what the scene is going to be like or are you just kind of doing the makeup and then what happens in the scene happens and then you got to react to it?
Absolutely no. We
Okay.
get a script. We usually get a script about 2 to 3 weeks, or sometimes a month prior to shooting. We have to break down the script. We're responsible for the continuity of our characters. So
Oh wow.
we have to read the script. We have to figure out what's happening in the script. We have to then consult with generally our department head. We have to consult with what we and our actor with what we feel they may feel,
Yeah.
kind of come to a consensus of what that play will look like. Um, yeah, it's a huge process, and when it happens fast, it's your responsibility to be on top of it. So generally, I will get a shooting order earlier in the day when I first come in, and I will highlight all the scenes and all the actors that I'm working with that day. And I will then take that shooting order and say, hey, Sally is going to the store. so she may not have on lip balm here.
Yeah.
But now the next scene, she's going to the club, so now she may have on eyelashes and lipstick. But the next scene is the next morning, so now she may not have on that, or maybe she slept in her makeup and it's a little smudged. So we're responsible for telling the story just like the actors are.
Yeah, that's really amazing. I seen you worked on the Madness, phenomenal show that came out here, and I'm a big fan of the show. Not just because the message, but you've seen the character's stress level go through the roof, and he goes from clean cut, fresh beard, everything looking perfect. By the end of it, he's grayed out and all that. So when you're doing your makeup, you're knowing that the story is going to make that transition. So you knew how that's going to progress and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely. So working on the Madness, my sister Shinta, who was called to be the department head for the New York and Philly unit, she called me and she said, "Hey, we're going to be working on this project, and we are going to be responsible for Coleman's beard
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
couple of the other characters, and that for that very reason." Coleman was in the process of shooting other things, and he had cut his beard, so now we not only did we have to reapply a false beard, a fake beard, but we had to add on to it and color it
yeah,
and make it look scruffy, then make it look all neat and clean for a CNN interview. So yeah,
yeah.
it a lot of work and a lot of thought goes into something as simple as a beard.
And that's interesting to me because, like I said, being a fan of that show, I noticed how perfect his beard was. Like you would think it was a real beard the whole time. So he actually didn't have a beard when he comes in, and you guys kind of created that for him.
Yes.
Wow. Now, with the story that was developed from that, how important is it to be able to make the beard grow with the stress? Like I noticed that, as he went through more struggles and tribulations with that storyline, you could see that the stress was getting to him and everything. So are you guys talking to him at this time or talking to the director and saying, okay, I know at this point he just had this major event happen, so now we're going to add more gray, or you guys kind of freestyling as you go?
A lot of times it's a lot of it's a community effort, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of meetings there, especially in any shooting process, whether film or episodic. There are constant meetings about the episodes and about the I guess the scenes that will be shot in the
Yeah.
order in which they'll be shot in, and everybody gives their opinion
Yeah.
and the director gives theirs, and we come to a consensus. Sometimes there are things that we can't do for time's sake,
Yeah.
and we have to be very vocal about that. Sometimes there are things that we need a lot more time for, working on some FX things. We have to build the character out a little more.
Yep.
We have to be vocal about that, right? Because time is money,
Yeah.
so we have to speak up about all the things that we need ahead of time, and a lot of times that has to go through the director, and we have to prep the actor and the AD and all the
And
people.
it's so important to that story. Like I said, if he would have still had a clean shave, a crispy beard throughout the whole story,
It
it
wouldn't
wouldn't
have
have
been
felt the
authentic.
same. But
It wouldn't
you
have
could
been
see.
authentic.
Yeah. Now, I also seen you worked with a legendary R&B singer, Marsha Ambrose. Her style is unique as is, but then you were able to bring out her beauty. How do you deal with stars who have like their own images and they have their own, I guess, style to them? How do you come into it and suggest, different things when we're creating makeup for them?
Um, I think it's important again to build relationships with your clients.
Yeah.
Pay attention to them. Pay attention to the things that you see. I study my clients a lot of
Okay.
times before I work with them. Not only do I study their face, but I look at their social platforms, and I look
Yeah.
at the way they like to dress, and I just look at the things that I see may be a pattern. Maybe they love a red lip.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe they like a feathered brow. I just try to really pay attention to my client outside of the makeup session, right? So then when we get in the makeup session, I have a bit of an idea to base a conversation off of. And then they can tell me what they want, and I can kind of add from there. So I think it's just about being able to build the relationship and communicate effectively.
Yeah. And like I said, with her, she's known for her having a unique look to her. And I seen some of the work. She looked. I mean, she's always gorgeous, but when you were done with her, it was just. Did she like do they contact you afterwards? Like, yo, I know we're done, but I got this hot event I want to go to. Like, do they ever contact you and try and get tips, or have you help them off the set?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I know back in the days, my sister worked with my sister Shinta worked with Alicia Keys, and they would often ask me about skincare tips
Okay.
and natural ways to just soothe and heal the skin. I think that again, when you build that
Yeah.
relationship and you care about your client and you care about their skin and you notice, you know, just the little things about them and their facial features, it makes it easy for them to want to just hit you up after and say like, hey, one, not only, should I use this lip color or do you like this product, but it's also, I'm coming back to town in a month and a half, and you know I'd like to book you, because if you look like someone like Marsha, I have probably worked with her over a span of 7 to 8 years on and off here and there.
Okay. So you've seen the train, the progression, and
Yeah.
everything like that. Is it harder for you working with women, or is it harder working with guys when you're trying to do makeup?
I think it's definitely harder working with women just in
Okay.
general, right? Um, I don't necessarily find it hard working with guys, but I do think it is a little bit more of a challenge to just figure out that comfort level.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you obviously are not doing the same style of makeup. You want to give your client a polished look, but you don't want them to come out feeling like, whoa, what did they just do to me? And I don't feel like myself.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to just really, really just use your eye and just kind of look at the face and break the face apart in a way where you're just trying to pull forth very subtle aspects
Yeah.
of the makeup versus a woman. You can kind of go in a little more, you have a little bit more creativity and freedom. So I definitely think it's harder working with a woman, but I do feel like you have to have a specific skill with
Yeah.
it when it comes to male grooming.
Yeah, because us guys, we don't really care about the makeup. We're like, all right, whatever, you got to do makeup, let's do it. But then you have a woman, she's been doing makeup all her life. And she's like,
Well,
well, what can you add to this that I can't do? So I can see that. But I love how you said it. You got to have a real relationship. You got to really care about people and figure out, how they do it. I see you worked on a Good Burger 2. Amazing movie. We all loved it. How did you get that opportunity, and what was it like being a part of that amazing movie that was, re-released or released recently?
once again, my good sis.
Okay. Yeah.
My sister Shinta, she was called to be the department head, and I am her right hand. So I
Dope.
was the key, and we went to Rhode Island and we knocked it out. And I have to say that that was probably and has been a highlight of my career. It was just the fun and laid back,
Yeah.
but around just hardworking people who really wanted to be there, that could truly make you laugh
Yeah.
all day long. And just the energy and the positivity and the attitudes, it was really, really, really a beautiful experience.
Now you mentioned you traveled for that. What's the craziest place you had to travel to, either for a movie or a TV show, where you had to do makeup?
Craziest place?
Mhm. I guess a place you never would have thought you would have went to if they hadn't told you you had to be there
Let's
for.
see. Yeah, I would say I've been to Indonesia with Ashanti back in the day. I just
Okay.
never saw myself in Jakarta, Indonesia. I think that was amazing. I mean, my career started so early, and
Yeah.
very early on, I was doing things that I just would have never imagined, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
like in 2008, 2009, I was touring bouncing between Ashanti, Jasmine Sullivan, and Melanie Fiona, and
Sheesh.
doing spot dates with Alicia Keys, like all around the same time. And I was in Tokyo with Ashanti and
Yeah.
Indonesia with Ashanti, and I did Alicia Keys for the Brit Awards, and um, traveled with Melanie doing spot dates in the city. So I've really been fortunate enough to really, really just travel all over the world with my
Yeah.
career. And it's truly, truly been eye opening and a blessing.
Yeah. And you mentioned you've worked with some of the most beautiful women there are. So, you know, what I mean, maybe it's because of your makeup that we remember them, you know, for how beautiful they are. When you work with Alicia Keys, like you said, you're from New York. So how's that feel? How's your family react when they find out that you're working with, you know, her? And how was that experience for you?
I think it was really exciting. I think it was exciting for them, right?
Yeah.
Because at that point, maybe what? Let's see, I graduated college 2005, and I went from working in the strip club, and that's not where, you
Yep.
ideally think you graduate college and you come home and you work in a strip club, right? So you're kind of like, family, no, what are you doing? But I had a plan. I knew what I wanted to do. So there were times in the beginning of my career where I would make $50 for a
Yeah.
face. And it would be like, well, when are you gonna make some money?
Yeah. When are you gonna make real
When are
money?
you
Yeah.
gonna when are you gonna take life serious? When are you really gonna do this? But then shortly after, I'm traveling the world and I'm working with superstars, and
Yeah.
I'm 21 working with Danity Kane, who was also 21 at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
it's it's interesting, right? So I they expected certain things from me, but I also think that they once it came, everybody kind of was like, that's Shenelle. Like it was
Yeah.
going to happen,
Yep.
it was going to happen. I had tunnel vision. I knew what I wanted to do. I was very specific about what I wanted to do.
Do you think besides you meeting your sister, that was one thing that helped you was the fact that your teachers in college told you, "Hey, you should do this," and then you went into New York with the idea of I'm going to do this, and then like you said, you had tunnel vision. You think that's why you became successful is because you have such a tunnel vision for what you wanted, would you go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was very focused. I was very laser focused on what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was very laser focused, and I didn't let anything stop me. I took up every opportunity. I did, Harlem Week fashion shows. I did Fashion Week fashion
Yeah.
shows. I did baby showers. I did
Yeah.
tours,
Anything and everything.
So I didn't limit myself. I worked in department stores. I worked for Sephora. I've worked for national artists for major department store companies. I didn't limit myself. I exposed myself to the artistry as much as I could, and I hustled.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Now you have a very famous husband in this entertainment industry who's successful in his own right. How did you two meet, and what's it like to be this power couple of the industry? You doing makeup and him putting on all the the artists and doing all this dope stuff he's doing. How do you guys keep that going?
we have a very, I guess, special story. We met on tour.
Okay,
We
dope.
met on the Maxwell Chrisette Michelle tour. So our son's name is Maxwell.
I saw that. Amazing.
I was Chris's makeup artist at the time, and my husband was the tour manager.
Yep.
So we met on tour. I guess that's pretty, like, for artistic people, it's a pretty cool kind of
Yep.
thing. Um, but you said, how do we manage?
Yeah, so you've been together almost 13 years. So you're being pwned around the world doing your thing. He's doing his thing. How do you manage to keep, everything as good as it is and, stay a dope couple like you do?
Um, One, I always say yes to the job, and we work everything out later. And I think that says a lot about his character.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot about his support for me
Yeah.
and my love for what I want to do, and my just my judgment on what I bring to him. And, because I don't bring every opportunity,
Okay.
some opportunities I'm like, hey, I don't think this one's for me. And he's like, oh, baby, you could have. And then, comes up later in conversation. It's like, no, I didn't, I didn't think it was a good opportunity.
Yeah.
You, I don't believe you should jump on every opportunity handed to you.
Yep.
But Jay is super flexible with me. He's very understanding. He's artistic himself, so
Yep.
he gets it. Um, we spent all of our 20s traveling the world together, so he knows I get that itch. I told him earlier today, I'm like, it's time for a vacation.
Yeah.
Um, and we we support each other. We realize each other's passions and each other's flaws,
Yeah.
and we kind of we do what we can to stand in the gap for each other, and I think that's what makes it special and helps keep us together.
Because you're both in the industry, does it make it easier for dealing with this industry that we're a part of? Like if you're an outsider, you might not understand why you can't come home till 6 in the morning, but he's in the game in the industry too. So does it make it easier for you guys to be, understand what each one's going through and what may not be normal to most people is kind of, you guys are used to?
110%. I don't have to. His main concern is my safety.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not what time I'm getting off of the job. It's, are you okay to drive home?
Yeah.
Um, and I think that not having that extra stress on top of working a 15, 16-hour day is amazing,
Yeah.
right? So he is very, very understanding, and it helps. It helps.
Mhm.
And I with him, if he has to go away for a weekend or go for a show or go to the studio, um, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do what you have to do. I mean, our kids are older now, so that makes it a lot easier as well.
Yeah.
Um, of course, when our kids were younger, it was a little tougher. We had to bend in ways that we didn't know we had to. So,
Yeah.
but we've grown nicely together. And
I've seen, like you said, your son's name is Maxwell, and he's into the entertainment industry as well. I seen he did a talent show. He's dancing. Are you guys excited for him to have the bug that he has? And what kind of advice are you guys giving him, being a kid with so much talent?
um, Maxwell is overly talented,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's not something that we could have ever predicted.
Hmm.
You have a son, you name him Maxwell, you don't think he could sing like a bird, right?
Yeah.
But he can,
Yeah.
and he can act, and he can dance, and he can draw. We're just excited to see where he can go.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
are exposing him to everything. We are constantly encouraging him. We are understanding, so we are flexible. So if Max gets that breakthrough gig and Max has to leave school, we're going to do what we have to do, right?
Yeah.
Because we understand the industry. And I do think that that makes it easier for Maxwell. It makes it easier for us, right?
Yeah.
Because this industry can be very funny. So we're not walking into this blind.
Yeah.
We have a level of protection over our son, and we really want our son just to be a kid right now
Yeah.
and explore his talents. And wherever that takes him, we're ready to go.
Yeah. Is it hard to tell him to explore when he's already shown that he's got a knack for singing, dancing? Like you can tell he's really gonna have that lane already there. Is it hard to tell him not to lock in and be focused like you were? And I mean, to try other things? Like so many parents, when they get a talented kid, they push them to do only that. But I can tell you're saying, no, try everything. Don't just, like, is it hard to do that? And does he give you any pushback?
So, right, he just wants to be busy, right?
Yeah.
He's 11 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's young. Yeah.
He is 11 years old. He has so much energy. He doesn't know what he can do.
Yeah.
We don't know what he can do. So we have to have him explore.
Yeah.
Like recently we discovered that he can draw like out of a comic book. We
Oh,
didn't,
wow.
like, we just one day he just drew a picture and we were like, well, who drew that? So it's important to let him explore. I don't want him to lock in on one specific thing
Yeah.
and him not realize that he can do more things. And it's important to be multifaceted in this day and age.
Yeah.
You know, even now at my big age, I'm back in school figuring it out.
Congrats.
Thank you. Trying to, again, become multifaceted, do other things. And we just want for Maxwell to find out what he can do and
Yeah.
then figure out what he wants to do. And whatever that is, we're going to support him 110%.
Well, I bet you got about 3 years, and Jay's gonna put him on a tour. You're gonna be doing his makeup, and he's gonna be selling across the country because he, like I said, he's super talented. I've seen a couple of those clips. I'm like, dang, and knowing who his father is kind of like a cheat code. He got you and him as parents, but I love that for you guys. I seen you did All Queens Men on BET recently. You work with BET a lot. What's it like being a part of the BET family and getting to interact with all the talent and help them with their makeup and all this other stuff you've been doing?
So for me, it's a dream come true, right?
Yeah.
You
Yep.
grow up and you watch these networks put on these shows and these award shows, and you
Yep.
see all of these beautiful people, and you never know, you want to, but you don't know how you can become a part of that world,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
I've been a part of that world for the past 20 years, and honestly, to this day, it's still a dream come true.
Yeah.
It means so much to me to be trusted by national syndicated platforms,
Yep.
to be called back,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
to be referred. So I take every opportunity extremely serious. I'm always excited. I'm always nervous, but I'm
Okay.
always ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'm always grateful. You never know what you need. You never know how you're going to be fed. The other day I was smiling with Kirk Franklin,
Yeah.
so
Well, I seen you were privileged or a part of the 50 years of hip hop celebration, and they have you working with Big Tigger. Which, if his makeup was wrong, I mean that's a major deal because he's a major face for hip hop for BET. So it says a lot about your talent that they entrust you with, the top talent that they have. So I want to salute you on that. And then, what was it like being at the 50 years of hip hop? I know that was a major thing. A lot of legends were there. So from your experience, what was that like for you?
again, it was very exciting, right? Because it was a day that they shot. If I believe I'm correct, it was multiple episodes.
Yep.
So one episode, you're sitting there and you have, Yandy and Tyga, and then another episode you have Fabulous and Bow Wow, then JD, then I
Mm-hmm.
mean, again, like
Yeah.
a dream come true. It's fun. I can't brag enough about what I have been so fortunately blessed enough to do.
I love that.
I
Yeah.
do not take it with a grain of salt. I always make sure that I'm prepared and ready to go, but I have fun.
Yeah.
I have fun, and the conversations are always insightful. I love meeting new people. I love networking.
Yeah.
I really love it.
Now, you said you're going back to school, 20 years in the game, very successful. We've highlighted all this amazing stuff, and you said, I'm just not happy. I'm not done. I want more. What are you going back to school, and what's the goal or the vision with it?
So one of the things I've always wanted in life, I have been an esthetician since 2000, maybe 2012. So I have a love for skincare.
Okay.
And I've always wanted a spa. I've always wanted a
Mm,
spa. I've always wanted a skincare line. And I have gotten to the point where within like the recent strikes and the changes in the industry, I love
yeah.
the industry.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't necessarily feel like the industry loves us back,
Yeah. True.
but
True.
I love it. But I've realized that I need more. I'm
Yeah.
still not in control of my destiny. I'm
Yeah.
still working when someone else works. And I'm not cool with that, you
Yeah.
know? So I decided to grab the wheel and I'm back in school for nursing. I have a love for
Oh,
skincare.
congrats.
Thank you. I have a love for skincare, and my goal is to become an aesthetic nurse and open a med spa and start to do some Botox
Okay.
and, transition out of the film and television world within, a couple of years or so, maybe I say about 10 years or so, and make my transition into that world where I
Yeah.
can have a little bit more control over my time and my energy.
It's dope you say that because the whole time I'm talking to you in my head, I'm running, are you going to create your own makeup line? Are you thinking like Mary Kay? Are you thinking about creating a course for teaching people? Because there's a lot of people that want to be makeup artists, but they don't know, they don't have your sister that they can get, connected with, or they don't have anybody who will give them that experience. Have you thought about doing any kind of consulting or mentorship programs for people?
I would definitely consider mentorship programs. I believe mentorship is key. I believe that there are too many microwave success stories. I mean, I get it. I'm not hating on it, but there's something that it's it's when you get it from the mud, it's just something different about it.
Yep.
You
Thanks.
value things differently. When I started doing makeup, I didn't jump to putting makeup on someone's face. When I started doing makeup, I did body makeup. I had a
Mm,
I
the
stood
full body makeups?
I stood behind my mentor and I put lotion and era classified spray body makeup. So I wasn't even trusted to do a face. I
Yep.
was still watching,
Yep.
and I think that there's something about the learning process that we lose
Yeah.
in these microwave success stories. So mentorship is really important to me.
Yeah.
It's something that helped me along the way, and I believe it can help each and every one of us.
Yeah. Well, Gary V, I'm a big follower of him. He always talks about find what your secret sauce is, find something that you can do better than anyone, and then create a YouTube series teaching them how to do it. So you imagine, hey, famous makeup artist to the stars, here's how I get started. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, and you could have people get their opportunity and stuff like that. I love that. We've highlighted a lot of your successes in your career. What's a success to you that we haven't mentioned? Maybe the first time you got on a major production, or what's one of the successes for you that stands out in your career?
Really, what stands out to me is just honestly the fact that I'm still doing it
Yeah.
and that I'm still trusted and that the same people still call me and that people can say, people from New York can say, oh, you're going to Atlanta. I know a dope makeup artist out there in Atlanta. Or just like my connections, my relationships. I think that's what stands out to me most. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm
Mhm.
proud of it. I'm proud of it because people don't realize the value in relationships these days.
Thanks. Now, I don't want to get you in trouble or anything, but any upcoming projects, movies, anything we can let the fans know that's coming up that you were a part of?
Let's see. We just wrapped up season 5 of All the Queen's Men. So that's super exciting. We have season 7 of Ruthless, I
Yeah.
believe. Oh, I could be so wrong with the numbers, but that's coming up pretty soon. Um, I got to day play on 688 and I saw that they're nominated for an Oscar. And
Yeah.
shout out to my department head on that, Priya. She was amazing. But I got to day play on that, and that was like a really historical, I
Yeah.
feel like, project to be a part of and to see that they're Oscar nominated. I think, well, you know what? I think that's the first project
Oh,
that
wow.
worked on not necessarily on main team. When you day play, you go in and out and you work on background. But anybody that works in the film and television industry will tell you background is just as important. They help tell the story.
Yeah.
But to see that they were Oscar nominated, I thought was really, really cool. And
Now, in your role, when you have like Madness, the impact of what you guys did with his beard, does that ever get you guys awards and accolades, or is it more just completing the job and helping the team?
yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, it just all depends. There are a host of different accolades, contemporary makeup, and if it was a period piece, it could be best period makeup. So
Yeah.
there are a host of different awards, NAACP awards. It's really cool to watch the industry be recognized in some of these award sector platforms that it isn't normally, outside of like your Emmys and Oscars stuff. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone who wants to be a makeup artist? They're at home, just out of college, or about to go to college. What advice would you give them before, or being in your field?
Um, One, I would say practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah.
So keep working, keep growing, keep learning, but also remember that your relationships are important. How you carry yourself, how you interact with people. Um, I think of makeup as an energy exchange. Your
Yeah.
attitude matters. You're in people's faces.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you
People
can't
like,
have a bad day. If you're having a bad day, you're just
it's an
gonna mess
energy
everything up.
exchange. I'm touching you and I'm mad. Now you're mad. Mm-mm. So I think it's important to be humble,
Yeah.
to always be a student. We're artists, right? So we can always learn from the next artists around us, and take what we may.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would say practice, work hard, be humble, and lead with integrity.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Now you've mentioned your mentor, your sister over 20 years, your husband's in the industry. Who all else is a part of your team, and how important is a team to you for your success and as a makeup artist or just being in this entertainment industry?
I have a village.
Yeah.
I have my best friend, I have my cousins, I have close family members that have to step in and help with the kids.
Yeah.
But hubby and I moved from New York over 10 years ago. And when we moved, we didn't have much of a village. We kind of
Okay.
just jumped into the A. So we were kind of used to just figuring it out. So I'm not going to say we're an army of two,
Yeah.
but it's a pretty tight circle.
Now, with you guys being from New York, migrating to Atlanta, do you guys take credit for being the innovators of that move? Because everybody's moving from New York to Atlanta now. So do you go, hey, we tried telling you to come earlier? Or?
No, I mean, I feel like they were already moving. They were saying and it was closed when we moved. I mean, I feel like you very rarely even meet anybody here now that's like born and raised from
Yeah.
Atlanta. I mean, you do, but it's like, oh, really? You are?
Yeah.
Atlanta is a melting pot for real.
Yeah. Now, outside of doing makeup and raising your kids, what do you like to do for fun? Like, if you got downtime, what are you doing to enjoy yourself?
What do I do to enjoy myself? That's terrible. I don't know. I
I
love
guess it's traveling. I
I love,
seen you
I
do
mean,
a
I
lot
love
of
to travel.
traveling.
I love to travel. I'm an experience over a thing,
Okay.
over an item type of person. I rather take that trip. Like if you ask me about a purse, I kind of am not checking for you. You ask me about a plane ticket, where we going?
Yeah.
So I would definitely say that I do like to travel. I'm trying to think of something really basic because we don't travel right
Okay.
on the everyday. So I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I like to kick it with my friends. I do believe in social time. I like to kick it with my friends and my family, just kind of relax. I'm a very private girl, but I like to chill.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Jay, he heard you want to travel, so he's over there planning the next location for you while we're talking. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak to you. It's been a really dope conversation. Anything else you want to tell your fans and supporters before we get out of here?
One, thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it. And two, guys, I mean, especially for all my future makeup artists, all my makeup artists that are in the film and television industry that are just finding it really hard right now. Y'all keep y'all heads up. We're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
It's been a very interesting 2 to 3 years. But just have the ability to pivot, have the ability to just make a change and do what's best for you.
With all the changes that happened last year in the entertainment industry, and then right now, the LA fires, unfortunately, it's pretty much taken out all of that. How do you stay so positive? I see a smile on your face, and you got a lot of adversity in front of you, but you can tell you have a light on you. You see the positive. How do you stay so positive with some of these negative things that are going on right now?
I am very, very strong in my faith.
Yeah.
I do believe that everything that happens works for our good.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I've had the most extreme and random things happen to me, right? And I'm thinking, there's no way, right?
Yeah.
There's no way. But I realize that God is always working.
Facts.
He has my best interest at heart. He's go walking before me. He's walking beside me,
Yeah.
and I'm cool. Like I really, I think my husband says I say this. It took a lot of violence to become this peaceful. There was a lot of adversity, a lot of things have happened, but I'm really strong in my faith. I'm really strong in who I am and what I bring to the table,
Yeah.
and that alone just leaves me at 100% every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you're strong in your faith. You mentioned Kurt Franklin. I seen in your social media you're posting a Glorilla song with Kurt Franklin. So I can tell you got that glow about you. There's just like you said, if you've been through struggles and tribulations, but God brought you through it, no matter what else happens next, you just stay positive because you know He's going to bring you through it again and again and again.
Yes.
Because He's got you. But like I said, I really appreciate this opportunity tonight, and I hope you have a great night.
Thank you so much. It was good talking to you.
Yes, have a great night. Salute.
Bye.